Deep within the planet's last untouched wilderness, ancient communities still live exactly as their ancestors did, hidden from modern civilization, protected by dense jungle canopies for centuries. The Brazilian Amazon spans a vast sedimentary basin carved by the Amazon River over millions of years, its soil enriched by seasonal flooding and volcanic dust carried from the Andes. This equatorial climate sustains the planet's largest rainforest, home to jaguars, pink dolphins, and thousands of undiscovered species. Brazil's Javari Valley alone protects over a dozen uncontacted groups, more than anywhere else on Earth, guarded by FUNAI patrols to prevent disease and land invasion from illegal loggers and miners. Manu National Park descends from Andean cloud forest at 4,000 meters down to steaming lowland jungle, creating one of the most biodiverse gradients on Earth. Formed by ancient tectonic uplift, its rivers wind through oxbow lakes teeming with macaws, giant otters, and jaguars. The Mashco Piro moves seasonally along riverbanks hunting turtles and fish, occasionally sighted by tourists, a haunting reminder that entire nations still live beyond the reach of maps. North Sentinel Island rises from the Andaman Sea as a coral-fringed volcanic remnant, ringed by treacherous reefs that have historically prevented ships from landing safely. Its tropical climate supports dense forest canopy sheltering the Sentinelese, believed to be direct descendants of the first humans to leave Africa. Indian law strictly forbids approach within several nautical miles, making this tiny island one of the last truly forbidden places on the planet. Papua's lowland swamp forests sit atop a young tectonic collision zone where the Australian and Pacific plates meet, producing rugged terrain and humid equatorial weather year-round. Dense sago palm groves and mangrove rivers sustain the Korowai, who construct tree houses up to 40 meters high for protection from flooding and rival clans. First documented by outsiders only in the 1970s, their culture remains one of the most recently discovered on Earth. Formed by the collision of tectonic plates, Papua New Guinea's Central Highlands rise sharply into mist-covered mountains, isolating valleys so completely that over 800 languages developed independently. Heavy monsoon rainfall feeds dense montane forest rich in birds of paradise and orchids. This extreme geographic fragmentation is why so many communities remained undiscovered by outsiders until the 20th century, making the nation the most linguistically diverse place on the entire planet. The Ituri Forest lies within the Congo Basin, the world's second-largest rainforest, formed over millions of years under a stable equatorial climate with consistent year-round rainfall. Towering canopy trees shelter okapi, forest elephants, and chimpanzees alongside the Mbuti, who have hunted here for thousands of years using nets and deep botanical knowledge. Their semi-nomadic lifestyle depends entirely on forest resources, making them among the most ecologically integrated peoples on Earth. Colombia's southern Amazon basin features flooded lowland forest crossed by winding blackwater rivers, formed through millions of years of sediment deposits from Andean runoff. Rich in biodiversity, it hosts jaguars, tapirs, and thousands of plant species used in traditional medicine. The Nukak, only contacted in 1988, were later displaced by armed conflict and coca cultivation, illustrating how quickly untouched jungle communities can be forced from their ancestral homeland. Venezuela's Amazonas state sits atop the ancient Guiana Shield, one of Earth's oldest geological formations, dating back nearly 2 billion years. Its tabletop mountains and dense lowland jungle create a humid, biodiverse haven for harpy eagles and giant anteaters. The Yanomami live in circular communal charbonneau dwellings, practicing shifting cultivation and shamanistic rituals, maintaining a lifestyle largely unchanged despite growing pressure from illegal gold mining nearby. Yasuni National Park sits at the intersection of the Andes, the equator, and the Amazon, a rare convergence that produces extraordinary biodiversity within a small geographic area. Volcanic soil and consistent rainfall support more tree species per hectare than anywhere else studded on Earth. The Tagari and Toromanane resist contact, sometimes violently defending their territory from oil exploration, making Yasuni a flashpoint between conservation and industrial expansion. Borneo's rainforest is estimated to be over 130 million years old, among the oldest continuous ecosystems on Earth, shaped by stable equatorial climate and minimal glacial disturbance. Towering dipterocarp trees shelter orangutans, clouded leopards, and countless endemic species. The Penan traditionally practiced blowpipe hunting and forest foraging, though logging concessions have pushed many towards settled village life, threatening one of Southeast Asia's last nomadic cultures. Palawan formed as a fragment of continental crust separated from mainland Asia millions of years ago, creating a unique biogeographic zone with species found nowhere else. Its limestone karst forests and monsoon climate support hornbills, pangolins, and rare orchids. The Badak, among the smallest indigenous populations in the Philippines, traditionally gathered honey and rattan, but shrinking forest cover now threatens both their ecosystem and their centuries-old cultural practices. Sinaraja rainforest survives as a remnant of Sri Lanka's original tropical wet zone forest, shaped by monsoon rains and largely spared from glaciation, allowing ancient species to persist undisturbed. Its dense canopy hosts leopards, purple-faced langurs, and rare endemic birds found nowhere else. The Veddas, believed to descend from the island's original Stone Age population, historically lived by hunting and gathering, and their oral traditions remain deeply tied to this ancient, biodiverse forest. Arnhem Land Sandstone Plateau formed over 1 billion years ago, among the most ancient exposed landscapes on Earth, later carved by monsoonal rivers into dramatic escarpments and pockets of tropical rainforest. This isolated terrain preserves rock art galleries depicting extinct megafauna. Aboriginal custodians maintain unbroken cultural connections spanning over 60,000 years, making Arnhem Land not just an ecological sanctuary but a living archive of humanity's earliest recorded history. Ivindo National Park spans dense equatorial lowland forest cut by dramatic waterfalls formed as rivers erode ancient crystalline bedrock over millions of years. Consistent rainfall sustains one of Africa's richest wildlife concentrations, including forest elephants and western lowland gorillas. The Babongo, traditional forest dwellers, practice deep botanical knowledge passed through generations, relying on the forest for medicine and sustenance while facing growing pressure from logging concessions bordering the park. Zangasanga lies within the Congo Basin's western reaches, a stable equatorial zone with year-round humidity that has preserved unbroken forest cover for thousands of years. Mineral-rich forest clearings called bais attract elephants and bongo antelope in rare open gatherings. The Baaka, celebrated for intricate vocal harmonies, have coexisted with this ecosystem for generations, their survival skills now integrated into EcoGuard conservation programs protecting the reserve from poaching. The Lakandan jungle formed atop limestone bedrock shaped by ancient seabed uplift, later covered by dense tropical forest under a humid subtropical climate. Jaguars, spider monkeys, and scarlet macaws thrive alongside hidden Maya temple ruins swallowed by vegetation. The Lakandan Maya, one of the least assimilated indigenous groups in Mexico, maintain traditional dress, language, and spiritual practices, having retreated deeper into the forest centuries ago to avoid colonial contact and disease. The Gran Chaco formed as a vast sediment plain deposited by Andean rivers, creating a semi-arid thorn forest unlike the humid rainforests elsewhere on this list. Extreme temperature swings and sparse rainfall shape a rugged landscape of cacti and dense scrub. The Ayuriototo Biogode remain the only confirmed uncontacted people beyond the Amazon, but relentless cattle ranching is clearing this forest faster than almost any other on Earth, threatening their survival. From dense rainforests to ancient highlands, these hidden nations remind us why protecting Earth's wild places matters. Subscribe to explore more untouched corners of our planet.